In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace a radiator fan assembly on a Ford Escape. It is located behind the front bumper. Before you start this job, bring your vehicle to a shop and have the AC evacuated. Right behind your driver's headlight is your negative battery terminal stud. You want to remove that stud. That stud is a 13 millimeter. Remove this cover, you pull straight up and straight towards you. Put that off to the side. We need to remove our air cleaner box. There's 4 8mm bolts. After you remove those bolts, lift straight up, put the top off to the side. After you put your cover off to the side, you need to remove your air filter. Just pull straight up, put that off to the side. There's a strap that holds your air filter box to this hose. It's just a regular screwdriver. You need to loosen that strap. In the front, there's another strap. Just pull straight down and up and unhook it. There's your air intake sensor. Remove the clip by pushing the clip and putting that off to the side. Then pull straight up with your lower air box. And put that off to the side. You have to disconnect your fans. By doing that, you just push down on this clip, pull your wiring harness out. On the top part of your radiator, you have 9 of these clips. You need to remove those. Just by pulling up the center, these are 2-piece. You need to disconnect your secondary hood latch cable by just prying up. And disconnecting it from the holder. Now you can remove your panel. The top part of your bumper is held on to the support by 2 10mm bolts and 2 7mm bolts. Just behind that, there's another 10mm bolt on both sides. You need to remove those. After you raised and supported your vehicle safely, you need to remove your 5 lug nuts. As you can see, one of our lug nuts, the cap fell off. That makes that a 19mm. The rest of these are 3/4. Remove your wheel. Do the same for the other side. Your wheel liner has 2 clips you need to remove. These are 2-piece clips. Your wheel liner in the front is held on by 1 8 and 6 7mm bolts. You need to remove those. Once those bolts are removed, you need to pull back on this piece that holds the fender liner to the fender. This is just clipped in, just pull straight out. On the other side of your fender liner, you have 2 8mm bolts. You need to remove those. Once you have all your bolts and clips removed, take your wheel liner, peel it back, and put it off to the side. Behind our fender liner, where our bumper meets our fender, you have 3 10mm bolts. You need to remove those. Once you remove those 3 bolts, you want to pull out on your bumper, separating it from your fender, and repeat that whole process on the other side. Underneath the radiator, you have 7 T27 bolts that go across. You need to remove those. We only have 2, so we're going to remove the 2 of them. At the top part of your bumper above near your grill, you're going to have 10mm bolts going across. There are 5 of them. You need to remove those. To remove your bumper, pull straight towards you. On the driver's side of the vehicle, you're going to have 1 connector for all your lights. You need to unclip that connector. Now you can take your bumper and put it off to the side. There's a clip on both sides. You want to remove those clips. Do the same on the other side. Once you remove those 2 clips, you want to lift this piece straight up. On the left side of your bracket, there's your horn. You need to remove the plug, push down on the clip and pull out. Put that piece off to the side. You have an air intake boot on the top that's held on by 3 clips. You need to remove those 3 clips. Take that piece, put it off to the side. On the side of your shutter grill, you're going to have 3 clips, 1 up top, 2 down bottom. You need to remove those clips. And then 1 right below that. And do the same on the other side. On the front, you have a lock on both sides. You want to turn this lock arrow to where it says ASM. Then remove the 10mm bolt just to the right of it. Now that I removed the clips on the other side, you need to unlock this piece from your upper radiator support. You can do that by prying up, then prying down and pulling towards you. You want to do the same on the other side. Once your shutter grill is loose, you want to pull straight up and out. Once you lifted up your shutter grill, you have 1 plug. You want to push the tab in, pull straight down, and then remove it from these 2 clips. Once you remove those 2 clips, lift straight out and put it off to the side. On the passenger side of your radiator, you're going to see a petcock. You want to turn that petcock to the left until it starts to drain out. You obviously want to put a bucket underneath to catch the fluid, and you are not going to reuse this fluid. Once your coolant is drained, take your petcock, turn it to the right, and tighten it. On the driver's side of your intercooler, you also have a petcock. You want to open that up and drain out any coolant that is in the intercooler. Just keep in mind, all these hoses that connect to all these things will have coolant in it. Now you can close your petcock. Just above your petcock, you're going to have a clamp. You need to loosen your clamp to remove this hose. That's an 8mm. Take a pair of pliers, remove the hose from your intercooler. You can let the rest of the coolant drain out, or if you have plugs, you can plug your hose or your intercooler. Right underneath that, there's an 8mm bolt. You need to remove that. Right above your petcock is a coolant temp sensor with a plug. You just push the button in the front and pull out. Put that off to the side. You also have two other coolant hoses. You need to remove those hoses. Then you have another 8mm bolt underneath here. You need to remove that. Once you removed both lower bolts, pull out on the bottom and swing it out and put it off to the side. You need to remove your headlights. Your headlights are bolted in by 3 10mm bolts, one just on the inside, one on the top, and then one on the side right next to your fender. Once you removed all 3 bolts, lift up on your light and pull straight forward. On the back side of your headlight, you have one connector up here. Push the tab up, pull out, pull the tab off the back side of the headlight. There's another connector. You need to remove that. You can take a pick from the back side, lift up on the tab, and pull straight out. Take your headlight, put it off to the side, and do the same thing for the other side. Right behind your driver's side headlight area, there's a T27 Torx bolt that holds your transmission cooler lines onto your radiator. You need to remove that bolt. Now you want to remove your radiator hose. Now on the opposite side of your radiator, you have your two 13mm nuts for your AC lines. You need to remove those. Now you need to remove your lower radiator hose. Loosen your clamp, slide it down the hose, slide your hose off the radiator. Those 2 lines go into your transmission cooler in the front, right above your AC condenser. It's held in by 2 8mm bolts. You need to remove those 2 bolts for your lines. Once you remove those bolts, remove your lines from your cooler. Make sure you have a bucket underneath because transmission fluid will come out. On the left-hand side, right above your top radiator hose, you have another coolant hose you need to remove from the radiator by pressing these 2 clips together and pulling out. Before you remove your lower radiator support, you need to support it with a jack. Your radiator, condenser, fans all come out through the bottom. Your radiator support is held on by 2 brackets that go front to rear. Your rear ones have two 10mm bolts. You have another 10mm bolt up through here, which is right on the side of your lower radiator support. Then you have another 10mm bolt on the inside. Now on the other side, you have your two 10mm bolts that go into the back. Then you have the two in the front. Then the one right behind that. Now you can start to lower your radiator. On the driver's side of your radiator fan, you have one clip for wiring. You need to remove that clip from the fan shroud housing. Now you need to remove your radiator from your lower radiator support by just lifting straight up and out. We have our radiator out of our vehicle. We need to remove our transmission cooler. To do that, you have two tabs, one on each end. You want to pull out on the tab and release it. Do the same for the other side. After you release those two tabs, you need to pull up on this tab on the end and pull out. And do the same for the other side. Once those two tabs are released, remove your cooler. Your AC condenser is held to the radiator by one 8mm bolt. You need to remove that. On the opposite side, there's a tab. You need to push that tab down, pull the AC condenser straight out towards you. And out. On the top part of your radiator, you have this foam that sticks to the top. You need to remove that. Put that off to the side. Before you remove your radiator fan assembly from the radiator, you need to remove your wiring harness that goes to your two fans. Do that by taking a flat blade screwdriver, pulling straight up on your plug, then taking a pair of pliers and lifting straight up on all the tabs. To unplug your harness from your fan, just push down on the tab and pull out. Do the same for this. And remove your harness. Your radiator fan has two locking tabs, one on each side. You need to take a screwdriver or an interior trim tool, pick this straight up to unlock it on both sides. Once you have those locking tabs pulled up, pull straight towards you with the fans. To reinstall your fan, slide it over on top of the radiator. You have your four slots that you want to line up with your four tabs on your radiator fan assembly. Line up those tabs and push in. Now you can install your harness. Your AC condenser has 3 tabs, 2 on one side, 1 on the other, and then you have an 8mm bolt that you need to install into this top hole. But first you want to slide this into these grooves to lock it in. Now you can install your 8mm bolt and tighten it down. To install your transmission cooler, you have 2 tabs, 1 on each side, to go into these 2 grooves. Once you have your grooves aligned up with your tabs, push in. Your radiator gets reinstalled from the bottom. On the top of the radiator support, you have these 2 pieces of rubber. They have a hole in the middle. Those 2 pieces of rubber are for your top radiator mounts. You want to install your radiator into your lower radiator support, lighting up your 2 rubber grommets and pushing down to lock them in. When you're jacking up your radiator into place, you want to make sure none of the hoses get stuck, and just take your time. Once you have your bolt holes aligned, start installing your bolts. You just want to put these bolts in by hand and not tighten them. Now you can reinstall your back 2 10mm bolts. And do the same for the other side. Now you want to tighten your bolts down. Now you can remove your jack and put it off to the side. You want to torque all 8 of those 10mm bolts at 35 foot-pounds. Now you can install your lower radiator hose onto your radiator and tighten your clamp. Your new radiator petcock, you want to make sure that that is tight. Sometimes they don't come tight from the factory. This one is tight. When installing your intercooler, you have a hole and a bracket. That hole in the bracket goes onto the radiator post on both sides. There's one on both sides. You want to install that first into the groove. Same thing on the other side. Then swing in on the bottom and install your 8mm bolts. Now you can tighten them. Now I want to remove my rubber plug that I installed into my cooler. Install your hose with your clamp. you can tighten your clamp. Now on the other side of your intercooler, you have your top coolant hose. Slide that over and tighten your clamp. Make sure it's secure. Now you can install your bottom hose and your bottom clamp. And now your pressure sensor. Wait for the click. On the driver's side of the vehicle, you have an upper radiator hose. You can reinstall that. Right above your radiator hose, you have another hose that connects to your radiator. It's a hard line. Just want to push that in, make sure it's secure. Now you can plug in your fans. Make sure it latches. Now you can install your 2 transmission lines into your transmission cooler. Now you can install your screw for your transmission line bracket. And tighten that down. Before you install your shutter grill, you need to install your wiring harness to your shutter grill motor. Take your plug that in, wait for the click. Reinstall your wiring clips into their places. This one is broken. Slide your side pieces down behind your bumper support, both sides. In your front of your shutter grill mechanism, you have your locks. You want to line those tabs up until it's locked in, then twist your locks till the arrow faces up. Now you can install your 2 10mm bolts. And tighten both of them. Now you have 3 clips on each side, 1 up top, 2 down the bottom. Push those in. Now your 2 down the bottom. Do the same for the other side. Now you can reinstall your AC lines onto your AC condenser. Install your nuts. And those 2 nuts get torqued down to 159 inch-pounds. Now you can reinstall your headlight, plug your wire back in, clip onto the back side, your main plug for your lights, line up your headlight with your fender. Now you can install your 3 10mm bolts. And tighten all 3. And do the same for the other side. Now you can install your horn plug, which is on your driver's side. The top bezel that goes behind your grill has a peg and clips, one peg on each side and one clip on each side. You want to line these up with the holes on both sides. Now you can install your bolts. Do the same on the other side. Now we're going to put on our outside snorkel, which is held on by 3 clips. Now it's time to reinstall your bumper. You can hold your bumper up and then plug your light harness in. Hold the front part of your bumper, slide it on the top in the middle. Now you can install your 10mm bolts to hold your bumper up. Underneath your headlight, there's 3 clips. Those need to clip into the back side of your bumper. So if you lift it up, push it towards the light, have those clip in. Where your bumper meets your fender, you have studs. Make sure your studs all align so you can put your bolts in. Where your fender meets your bumper, you need to install your 3 10mm bolts. And tighten all 3. Now you can reinstall your fender liner. Once you install your fender liner, you can start your 2 bottom bolts. Then you can clip this molding in and install the rest of the bolts. And tighten them down. Now you can install your 2 clips. Now you can install your 2 bolts on the opposite side of your fender liner, right underneath your front bumper. And tighten those. Do the same for the other side. Reinstall your wheel, slide it over the studs, and install your lug nuts. You want to tighten those in a star pattern. You want to torque each nut down at 100 foot-pounds in a star pattern. Do the same for the other side. Underneath the front bumper, you're going to have your 7 bolts. 5 of ours were missing, but we're going to install the 5 that were missing. Now you want to tighten all the 10mm bolts that are above your grill. Now you want to install your two 7mm bolts, one on each end, on top of your grill. Now your plastic cover. You can install your hood release cable. And all your clips. Before you reinstall your airbox bottom portion, there's 3 studs here. You need to line those up with the 3 rubber mounts there and push straight down. Once you've lined those 3 up, you just want to push straight down. And then reinstall your strap. Now reinstall your air intake sensor. Wait for the click. Reinstall your air filter. Then reinstall your cover. Now tighten the clamp. And reinstall your cover. Slide it back first, and push straight down. Slide your bolt through the negative terminal. Start your bolt in the hole, and tighten your bolt. Make sure it's nice and tight. Remove your cap, and fill to the max line. Now install your cap. Once you're finished with this job, bring your vehicle to a shop and have your AC recharged.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.